I'll tell you a cute story. A lashon hara ma'aseh, just a mashal. Okay. I'm too young and certainly too stupid. That's the right word to remember this. But I remember Rabbi Mentlick. I didn't know him well. By the time I got to 770, he had passed away, unfortunately. But Rabbi Mentlick was a very special yid, an extremely special yid. He was refined beyond refined. He was soft-spoken. He was gentle. He was kind. He was warm. He was mekusher to the Rebbe like nobody. His kashas was, strangers would walk into 7-7, they'd watch how he stood by Fabrengen, and they would marvel. He stood like a statue next to the Rebbe, he wouldn't budge. But behind all that, there was a sharp Polish brain. Mentlick was extremely sharp. When he was young, he spoke so quickly, people couldn't understand the word he said. He spoke as fast as his brain worked, and the Frierdiker Rebbe told him to slow down his speech, so he began to speak very slowly. Mamash, he changed his whole personality. But the brain was never slowed down, just the speech was slowed down. So he had interesting minhagim. And I remember this as a boy, before Bar Mitzvah yet, but I don't remember it. I was too distracted, unfortunately. I wasn't that present. Rabbi Mentlick would give you a faher, a question, a test, in Gemara. He never ever told you were wrong. Never. He would ask you a question, and you would answer. Whether the answer was correct or incorrect, you ask your second question, and you would answer. Whether the answer was correct or incorrect, you ask your third question. He would keep asking you until you couldn't answer. That was his thing. Now, if you were correct, so you understood this piece of Gemara and this Rashi and this Tosfos and this Marsha and this Maram Shif, and then at some point you couldn't answer him. But he knew, he knew if you had it right, and he knew the extent. That's how he would measure your intelligence. Yeah. What happened if you had it wrong? So he would take you on this train until he would tie you up in knots. That was his thing. He would go with you, and he would talk to you and ask you. And by the time you were done, you were so tied up in knots, you had no idea where the heaven was. That was his shtick. So they tell a story about Rabbi Mentlick. They did tell me. Rabbi Mentlick came into a farher of kids or bachrim, I don't know what age, and he asked a boy a question, and the boy gave him the wrong answer. The problem is, this boy didn't give him the wrong answer because he didn't know. The boy gave him the wrong answer because he got that kruma cup. He actually worked very hard, and he figured out the Gemara incorrectly. So Rabbi Mentlick asked him a second question, and he answered it. Again incorrectly. So he asked him a third question. Again incorrectly. And Rabbi Mentlick went, and every question he had, he answered. And he couldn't show him where he was wrong, because he had worked it out in his head. And it was not correct. Now, if you can answer every question in a Gemara, how could you say it's incorrect? I guess you'll call it a different shot. But they say it's the one time in his career that Mentlick had to tell a bocher, you answered every one of my questions, but you should just know that's wrong. It's nicht richtig. It's just and the bocher, why not?